Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. This Sunday. Hope the weekend is going well, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. And it should be going well because Arsenal have started the Premier League season with a win. I spoke about it in yesterday's show in the build-up to it. I didn't really care what the performance was like. I just wanted on that opening day to get 3 points in the bag, and Arsenal did that. And I do actually think it was a pretty decent performance as well. Yes, it was a little bit rusty at times. There was a few uncharacteristic errors in there, little bit of sloppiness. But on the whole, I thought for an opening day performance, when there's always a little bit of ring rust, that Arsenal performed very, very well. And they absolutely deserved the 2-0 win that they got. So we're going to talk about that a lot more in depth in this show. We're going to look at what Mikel Arteta had to say afterwards. Going to have a look at what you guys have said. So many of you sending in your thoughts, all so disagreeing with me as usual when it comes to my player rating. So we'll go over those, of course, in the show. Get your views on what you saw last night as well. So plenty to discuss after that very, very comfortable 2-0 win for Arsenal. Like I said, look, and I know I've been really surprised, I have to say, by some of the negativity I've seen after the game. Well, actually, I say that. I say I've been surprised, but I'm not that surprised because I know the way of social media and negativity seems to come across louder than anything positive. But I was just generally like, I was coming home from the game, scrolling on my phone, and I was like, I just don't like. Some people seem really, really upset about the way Arsenal played yesterday. I just don't get it. I thought they played pretty well. They got a 2-0 win. They kept a clean sheet. They scored 2 good goals, and they started the season with 3 points. Very, very rarely does anyone open the season with an absolute statement display. It happens from time to time. I'm trying to think back in Arsenal performances. I remember there was that 6-1 win at Everton when Cesc scored a really good goal. Denilson scored a stunner, didn't he, at Goodison Park? So there's been a few from time to time, but on the whole, it's always that sort of just get yourself into gear. We saw it with Man United against Fulham, saw it with the early game yesterday. Arne Slot is not going to be bothered at all about Liverpool's performance against Ipswich. He is going to be very, very happy this morning that they won 2-0 and without hitting top gear. And that's exactly how Mikel Arteta will be feeling. So I'm just a little bit surprised at some of the negativity from the reaction. Before we get deep into the game, just in terms of injury news, obviously we've seen, if you're watching on YouTube, the picture of Declan Rice here. I mean, from where we were sitting yesterday in the ground, as soon as he took that shot and then suddenly he went down and clutching the back of his leg, it was just like, oh my God, he's done his hamstring on the opening day. Doesn't seem like there's anything too serious. Mikel said in his press conference afterward, it was just cramping up a little bit. And Arsenal, I believe, have done their checks now. And yeah, it just looks like it was nothing more than cramps. So fingers crossed, Declan will be fine to play next week in that big game at Aston Villa, who also got a good win on the opening day yesterday, beating West Ham 2-1. So good news about Declan Rice. I mean, when you look at the fact that Rice went off cramping, he normally can just get through any sort of game. Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka had to go off in the second half as well. These players have all come back very, very late. Mikel was talking about them actually in the press conference. He was asked about the fact that Raya, Rice and Saka all started after playing in the 2024 in the Euros final. Obviously, he said, I'm not surprised. That's their mentality. Straight after the final, they said, I'm going to be ready for the first game. I spoke to them in the summer to try and arrange their best plan. They wanted to be early. They wanted to be back. They were all getting prepared. This is the mentality that we need. If players are doing that, the compromise will grow around the team and they will step up the level. That's what we need. He then admitted that initially he did actually think that certainly Rice and Saka, he would probably have to rest for the opening game. But, he said, where is it? The quote here says, first of all, yeah, I did think that. You have to really understand where they are, what they need to give them some space and let them breathe. They went through a lot, and those kids have played a lot of football in the last 2 years, but you see that willingness, that energy to say, I'm really, really happy to be back, and you see that it's genuine. So it's a good sign. So yeah, he didn't initially have any fit. Well, after the initial fears of, I'm not going to be able to play them, as soon as he saw them, he was pretty confident. But the fact that both went off yesterday shows there's still some way to go. And again, I go back to the criticism of the performance. These are players who are still getting, they're probably at 75% so far, some of these players, and yet they still put in a very, very commanding performance yesterday. I thought so. Yeah, I've got my positive hat on this morning. I have to say, I'm pretty happy with what I saw yesterday at the Emirates. I thought Kai would probably start as central striker. He was my predicted 11 yesterday as a central striker. He did. He got himself a goal once again. I thought he played really, really well. Bukayo Saka, goal and assist as well. What more can you say about Bukayo Saka now? I think that's his 59th goal for Arsenal already. Bukayo Saka. Which, when you think of his age, you think the fact he's not a striker is just unbelievable. It was a brilliant finish as well, at perfect time, because Arsenal had just began to lose their way a little bit, and then he popped up with a goal, and that's what big players do. I didn't think he was at his very, very best yesterday, Bukayo Saka, but he still popped up with the two crucial moments. That brilliant ball in for Kai Havertz to get his head to, and then the crucial second goal as well. And as I said, that's what you want your big players to do, doesn't it? And when you need them to step up, Bukayo Saka does that. But I thought Kai was brilliant as well. He's just such a hard player to defend against. He's so clever. His movement's fantastic. He's strong. He's quick. He's getting goals now. He's getting assists. You look at his record since the start of 2024. James Bench tweeted out a really good stat yesterday. I haven't got it to hand now, but it was something, I think, since the start of 2024, he's averaging a goal or assist in the Premier League every 96 minutes or something like that. And prior to that, it was 260. The improvement that he has made since he has gone and moved as a central striker, and the record that he's got, the goals he's scoring, the assists he's getting, he's just growing into a wonderful footballer, Kai Havertz. I love watching him play. I have to say, Mikel was speaking about it after the game. He was asked about the team picking up where they left off, and he said, especially the beginning of the match, the first half, we were really, really good, aggressive, intense, a lot of purpose to our attacks, fast, a lot of threat in the box. We generated a lot. We probably should have been 2 or 3 up, and the game would have been different. The second half, there were moments we became a bit sloppy and not controlled, especially with some giveaways, which against this team is particularly difficult. Then the game is a bit more open at Bukayo. Bukayo had an unbelievable action to make it 2-0. Then it was a different game. He was asked, can the team take another step this season? He said, when I see the willingness, whether we're going to do it or not, we're going to have to show it every day in how we play and the results that we're going to take away. It was the first game. There's always uncertainty around how we're going to respond to that against a really difficult opponent. We scored 2, clean sheet, win, job done. I mean, that is basically all I need to probably say in this video, rather than going on for 15 odd minutes of it, is just that very last line from Arteta. It kind of sums up for me what the opening day is about. We scored 2, clean sheet, win, job done. And that is it. It's just move on from that and get yourself into the season. And that's what Arsenal did. And that's why I'm feeling pretty happy about yesterday's game. A bit of a milestone for William Saliba in that game. Didn't have the best of matches. I didn't think William Saliba, some very uncharacteristic stuff when we're talking about players a little bit sloppy and get themselves back into gear. I mean, Saliba, who's just always at such a high level, just did a few things yesterday that just caught you by surprise, because when he does it, it's so rare that it does catch you by surprise. There was some really sloppy play from Saliba a couple of times in the first half, once in the second as well. But did keep a clean sheet, did win again, and now he's the fastest Arsenal player to reach 50 wins, which is pretty incredible. And he's done it by a distance as well. I think Nacho Monreal is second with about sort of 6, taking him sort of about 19 games more or something. He's got 30 clean sheets as well in those 50 wins. William Saliba, just a phenomenal start to life at Arsenal for Saliba. So big milestone for him yesterday. Right, let's go through some of your reactions. First of all, so I did my player ratings after the game last night, and it's always a little bit different when I'm watching them in the stands, which I was yesterday. Obviously, I was sitting next to Dad in my season ticket. It's very different to watching it in the press box when you're far more sort of switched on in terms of analysis, and you're working and stuff like that. So it's very different when you're in the stands. You're talking, you're having chats with everyone around you, and I always find it's completely different when you're doing player ratings like that, and it's they're never quite as solid. But certainly the reaction to I got to them yesterday showed that a lot of you disagreed with those player ratings. I think I gave Raya an 8. I gave the fullback, I gave the defenders all a 7. I gave Partey a 7. I gave Odegaard a 6, which is a lot of people were annoyed about. I gave Rice a 7, Saka 8, Havertz 8, man of the match, and Martinelli I think I gave a 6 as well. And so these are reactions from you guys. Noah says, 2-0 Arsenal. It's good to be back, Charles. While you're away, I've been thinking about how hijacking the deal for Felix is such a good idea. Don't understand why Arsenal isn't around the deal. Then goes on to talk about Eddie being a bit ruthless and taking players away from the clubs. Yeah, look, Arsenal had been interested in João Felix before he went to Chelsea in the first instance. I haven't heard that they're going to go back in and hijack that deal. Potentially, he's the sort of player that Arsenal could do with in the second half over this season. Just a little bit of addition, attacking strength, can play in multiple positions across the front line as well. But clearly, at this stage, it doesn't seem like they're going to go back in for him. So they've obviously moved on a little bit from that. Roman says, "What game were you watching? Partey was too slow and kept getting the giving the ball away. And Smithy says, tough first game, 3 points, a clean sheet, Villa away. Next, Chicken Dippers says, welcome back, Charles. Hope you found that a good rest. I did. Thank you very much. The game wasn't the greatest, but a win is a win. Raya looks strong, made some brilliant saves. He did, absolutely. That save in the first half from David Raya was absolutely fantastic. When you watch it more and more and you see all of his weights going the other way to get back and stick out that hand, it was really, really good save. Zinni was the weakest link. Think that's harsh. Didn't think Zinni did much wrong at all. Zinni can't play defence midfield, maybe. Again, I think that's really harsh. I think he was fine yesterday. Zinchenko, Timber looks just wow. The run he did into Wolves box was amazing. Yeah, he did also make a big mistake in that second half, which led to a Wolves shot. If someone like Zinchenko had done that, I think a lot of people would have been on Zinchenko's back. Partey looked good. He bossed the midfield, lost the ball a few times. Jesus fresh and eager. Martinelli didn't have the best of games. He needs to look up more. Lose more says, hi Charles, great to be back. Hope you had a brilliant holiday watching from Toronto. We thought Odegaard was more like a 7 than a 6. He even had a shot on goal. He's pure silk. Love from Toronto as always. Thank you very much. Nazil says, I agree that Partey had a good game overall. In my opinion, he gave away a ball a couple of times, just like Saliba and Gabriel did. Timber was messing around with the ball, nearly cost us a goal late in the game. Why were their names not mentioned by some of the fans on social media? It seems people are jumping on the bandwagon and being negative towards Partey for the sake of it. If he misplaces the pass, it means he's had a bad game. It's getting boring and ridiculous. Jeff says, hi, Charles. Great to have you back. And the boys, thank you. I do have to agree with some of the other comments that your player ratings seem a bit off. Partey was a 6 at best, maybe a 5. Odegaard should have easily been a 7. I also think you're a bit harsh on Saka. No need to apologise for giving him an 8. He was very good all game. Not just a goal and assist, and was my man of the match. Glad we got the deserved 3 points. Richard says, Charles, you've got to be rethinking your Partey and Odegaard ratings. Martin was a solid 7. Partey fluctuated between being awful and average, so a 5 at best. Also, is there a goal big enough in the league that you can actually hit? I think that's really harsh. Right, I'm going to talk about Thomas Partey now. Again, the way I was watching it yesterday was slightly different, but from where I was watching it, I thought he had a perfectly good game, Thomas Partey. Yes, he gave away a ball. He gave away a ball a couple of times. He did it in the second half, especially, which led to one shot, I think, didn't it? Which went just wide. But as I said, Saliba did that miles more than Thomas Partey did. Gabriel did it a couple of times. Zinchenko did it. Havertz did it, which led to the header in the first half. Players were doing it. It was just a sign of rustiness on the opening game of the season. But I don't think you can look at that and just say because Thomas Partey gave the ball away once or twice that second half, he had a bad game. I thought he had a perfectly good game in that 90 minutes and did a lot of good things. And I think some of the criticism, I was really surprised coming away looking at some of the criticism Partey was getting. I just didn't see that from what I was watching. I thought he had a perfectly good game, did some quite good stuff. Yes, he gave the ball away a couple of times, but that doesn't mean he had a bad 90 minutes just because one pass went astray or 2 passes went astray. So that was my thoughts on it. Vet Para says, hi, Charles. Firstly, didn't think it was an amazing performance and we're clearly still undercooked. Yep, you're right. But I'm really happy that Arteta is sticking with what works at the end of last season. I think at the beginning of last season, he was obsessed with falling short the season before and he really changed a lot. Havertz in midfield, Partey at right back, Gabriel on the bench. Secondly, I was surprised Trossard didn't start because I think he's our best finisher. I do think giving Martinelli a start is probably in preparation for Villa. His pace could be key to unlocking that ridiculous high line of theirs. These fixtures really raise the stakes. I was surprised as well that Trossard didn't start. He was in my predicted 11. Maybe you are right. And we know how Aston Villa like to play that high line that Arsenal couldn't expose last season. And hopefully they will be able to next week at Villa Park. The Limey says Saka was clearly man of the match, easily our biggest goal threat throughout the match. Havertz was decent, fine-headed goal, but wasteful in front of goal in given time. Raya reaction save in the first half was exceptional. I thought Saliba was poor in his passing. The missed pass in the second half should have been buried by Wolves. Partey was sloppy and giving the ball away in defence, but the rest of his game was good. Odegaard was not 6. He played well. Martinelli wasn't great. So there's all your reaction to what you saw in the game, how you're reacting to my player ratings. Always create a lot of debate. I know they do. So I wanted to share as much of it as possible. And look, it's all opinion, isn't it? At the end of the day, what one person sees and another person sees completely differently. I thought Odegaard was fine. Again, 6 isn't a bad score in my player ratings. I just thought it was an average performance from Martin. I would have liked to have seen him impact the final third a little bit more than he did, but that's not to say he had a bad game. So those were my thoughts, and thank you very much, as always, for all you guys getting in touch and sharing what you saw in the game. Okay, just quickly moving on from last night's or yesterday afternoon's game. Just onto transfer stuff. Obviously, Mikel Merino continues to dominate the headlines when it comes to Arsenal. I think this is going to be probably going to be a fairly big week when it comes to Merino. Arsenal now, the clock is ticking. What's the date today? It is the 18th of August, so we're under 2 weeks away from the end of the transfer window, and Arsenal want to get some business done. They've been trying to get the Merino deal over the line for some time now. He was left out of the Real Sociedad squad for their opening game of the league season yesterday. The Real Sociedad manager confirming that he was left out because of the ongoing negotiations with clubs, he said, but that obviously means Arsenal. He said that Merino was ready to play and would, he was quite willing to play, but the manager himself left him out because of what was going on. And I think things, and then he said, will he play next week? We'll have to wait and see. I'll make a decision then. But obviously, I think Arsenal are going to really push to get this deal done in the next 7 days because we are running out of time. And I still think that they will look to do something else in terms of an attacker if they can move someone as well. So there's a lot of work to be done with 2 weeks remaining of the window. Merino appears to be closer to being done, but I've been sitting here for about 3 weeks, even before the holidays, saying that, and it still hasn't got over the line yet. But I think this will probably be a pretty big week when it comes to Mikel Merino. And that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching or for listening. Appreciate your time as always. Sit back, relax, watch the rest of the football now. Arsenal got 3 points. You can look at that Premier League table and see that nice little 3 in the points column. And as I said, that's all you can really ask for on the opening weekend of the season. And Kai Havertz scored as well. Oh, I just remembered I was going to create a fantasy Premier League Inside Arsenal league. Someone asked me to do that in the comments yesterday, and I said I would do it in today's show, and I've just remembered that I haven't done it. I'll tell you what I will do. I will create the league now, and I will drop the code into the description below at the bottom of this video. So if you want to join that league, then yeah, the code's there. Join it, and let's all have a bit of fun, and we'll do some regular updates throughout the season and see who's winning and how bad everyone else is doing. I normally do terribly badly. Sorry. I did put in Kai Havertz late yesterday, which I thought would be a disaster, but it turned out to be very, very good as well. So yeah, code for the FPL league, if you want to join in, is in the description below. I will also put it up in tomorrow's show as well and actually give it a little bit more publicity. Thanks for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time. As always, speak to you soon. Bye-bye.